The cost of IT in business can be staggering. From hardware and software expenses to services like internet and phone, you don't need to spend a fortune on IT to succeed. If your organization spends more than $500 monthly on any service, or you're considering signing a long-term contract, IT Enabled can help you manage your technology and minimize your costs. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation. IT Enabled, we're here to help.
Barbara, we're so excited to have you today. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about your background? Have you always been in Lufkin? How'd you get to Lufkin? Things like that.
So I grew up around the East Texas area, and I graduated from Hudson High School.
Okay.
I am a mother to 4 teenagers. I'm married to Josh Havard.
4 teenagers?
So we have
Wow.
14, 15, and 2 17-year-olds. We're a blended family. My husband is one of my biggest cheerleaders, and he's the editor at Lufkin Daily News.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have photography, which has been a passion of mine. I shot my first wedding when I was 15 and just took off from there, fell in love in a dark room, and been with that since then. Started a photo booth company about 5 years ago after just seeing a need and wanting to mesh in. I love a good party, and I wanted to mesh, memories and fun together. And so I've moved off, and I went and lived in Austin for a little bit. I loved it there, but something just kept pulling me back. So I got back here to East Texas pretty quick, and I've stayed here, and I really love it. So
That's fantastic. So Barbara was actually our Newcomer of the Year. As y'all know, we've been interviewing all of our award winners this month, and man, you jumped in full force when you joined the chamber, and we so appreciate that.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love community anyway with it, and so I love seeing the cheerleaders of the chamber and how y'all really rallied around everybody, and so being a part of that was exciting to me too.
Well, you're one of the biggest cheerleaders. I mean, if Barbara gets a hold of it, it's like out there, and she's going to push it, and it's just cool. It's fun to watch.
It is. Once you're my family, you're in my community. You're in my community. I love to see people succeed, and I mean, there are so many people who helped me along the way, from starting in the dark room with Mr. Roberts at Hudson to developing that first thing, thinking that was so amazing, to developing to Stephanie Davis, who carried me along and let me do a lot of really great things with her. Yes, and she just had an infectious. Like when she walked in a room, took it over with, she could say little and just take it over with her craft, and she was always very welcoming. And so I love that. And I always want to be that for other people. And so I've just, from having that done to me, I want to carry it forward for other businesses.
I love that. So I was going to ask, tell us about what the photo booths are, but if you've ever been to any event in Lufkin, you've used one of these photo booths. I can promise you. I promise you. It seems like you're everywhere with it, and it's been great.
It is. It's been such a blessing. We started this 5 years ago, right before COVID, in December 2019. Mm-hmm. My heart said, let's start a business, and add to a business, I guess, since I was already a photographer, and I started it. And then here came old COVID to shut down everything. So I really had to pivot. That was a lot of prayer and pivoting right there. We did headshots, and because I had just purchased a very expensive custom made equipment for this photo booth,
sure.
That I wanted. So I thought, how can I do this? So I went into nursing homes, and I did calendars for them, and I did headshots,
wow.
and I
cool.
did. I would go to little gatherings, like team building things where they wanted quick headshots. So that's how my headshot happy hour kind of came about.
Interesting.
Because I couldn't do the traditional, I did micro weddings and that kind of thing, because all these events that I was so excited and planned to go into, I couldn't. Right. And so that was a great lesson in patience and being prayerful and just knowing like it's not going to be how your piece of paper business plan could turn out, but just keep going through if you really believe in it. Because, there's many times I was like, what did I do? I just need to back out. I need to retreat. And I just kept going. And we have 4 booths now that we run full time. Working on a 5th one right now. I keep saying no more, and then I add another one. But I think 5 will be the cap with it. And they're custom built, open concept DSLR booths, which basically, we used to go into the mall. You'd step into that really cool one, shut the curtains and stuff. I love that. We do have an option to add something similar to that, but this just levels it up. As a photographer, I wanted something that met that quality. So if you're going to invest in us, we're an extension of your event photography. Right. So there's tons of other great photo booths that are around town, and there's different budgets, and everybody has a place in it. Ours is not your every day. Ours are all high resolution, can all be printed up to 16 by 20. All are, each one, myself or any of our booth butlers, which are like our attendants that go with it.
Well, now that's a cute little word.
Booth butler, right?
Booth butlers, they have to go through 8 weeks training before I let them touch the floor. And that's because they have to learn photography. They have to go basic photography, lighting with it, and troubleshooting before they even touch software or anything with it. And so I'm sending you a photographer when I'm sending someone out there with it. So it's definitely it's something I'm very proud of, and it's something I don't take lightly that people invest in us to invest in them, because we are not going to be the least expensive in town. We're not. If you're looking for least expensive, that's not us. But we are worth the investment every time. I've never had anybody like, wish I wouldn't have rented that thing. Like, it's so exciting that we get to be part of so many milestones. Like, whereas it used to be just kind of a fun thing in the mall, now, I mean, we get to be part of weddings and reunions and engagements and bridals and chamber banquets and new business openings and all that. And so it's it's another ministry, in itself. And I get to meet tons of really cool people and be with them through life. It's really cool. So it's a blessing. And I think it comes with, like everything, every small business, it has its challenges, but overall, I think the pros outweigh the cons, and it's something that I would love to pass on to my children and, keep the fun going,
Yeah.
So I just started following you on TikTok because one of the girls at the office said she made the best video from the chamber banquet. And I was like, well, where is it? And they're like, it's on TikTok. I'm like, I have to get on TikTok. Yeah. And so, but I went and found you and it's the best video. But I wanted to say, then I started scrolling through all your stuff, that you really do take everything to the next level, because you're doing videos while you're there and you're going through and watching people. And so it's more than just a photo booth. It's the experience.
Yes, and that is a huge thing to us, and that is something. There are some people who don't get to stay as booth butlers because they don't get the whole it's an experience thing. It is truly, you have to come in and know that people are investing us to invest in a whole experience of it. And when we're there, I want to show the whole journey and the other businesses that are included in that journey and stuff. And TikTok, we get on there and act a fool a lot of times, but we also we want to capture everything from what it takes for us to put together your template. So you see, like, we invest time and energy, and everything's customized. We're not just a click, 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 this is what you get. We want it is your event specifically for you, and this is your moment. And so we want to make sure that every little part of that, so you, just like you would your tablescape, you would take, your florals, your invitations, whatever, we're the other step of that. And so we want to include that all in the journey. Like, these florals that you showed me, that's how we got to make this template, because you showed me these are going to be your colors and this is the venue. Because I have a questionnaire they have to fill out, and I'll say, where's this going to be? And that's how we figure out the vibe. And we have bukus of backdrops, but some people are like, I don't know. So then I'll, say either come by and look, or here's 3 ones I would suggest. We custom build them. We've done custom build pieces. We've had local artists paint stuff for people. So we just want to make sure that in TikTok and Instagram and all those things, that people get to see the full journey, small businesses get to see the full journey, because you just never know who's watching, or you don't know, sometimes you don't understand the process, what can and can't be done until you see it. And you're like, oh, they can do that, or I never thought about it that way, or, and so I really like seeing a process of something and making people think a different way, and to show that a photo booth is, yes, it's fun, but there's so many levels and things that go to it. So we want to be an extension of an event and not just there to put on the taco hat, make you smile, So taco hat's great.
However, they do have taco hats.
Yeah.
I love that. So tell us about big picture events.
Okay.
How did that happen?
So, big picture events, originally started in 2016. I was getting married, and I was always kind of like the girl who people went to help with parties and setting up and stuff. So it started out originally as event planning, was the whole thing. And so I did that because I was planning my wedding, and a lot of things I was looking for, I couldn't find, and I was like, people, like, you don't want to go buy all these things, And so that's where it started with. And then honestly, about within like 3 years, I knew I wanted to add photo booths to it. And I had been researching for about 10 years and couldn't really find what I wanted. And my heart just was not in the event stuff. Like, it was fun, but then it got to where it was just like, okay, here we go again, and it just wasn't my passion. Whereas photography and people are my passion. And parties, I love a good party. I love a good theme party, but all the stress of that, it just wasn't, the give and take of it wasn't where I really want to be. So then it morphed itself into just, instead of the big picture events and event planning, dropped and just became the big picture. And my husband came up with that name. I was trying to think of another company to go with my photography, and I didn't want to keep it under that. I thought it needed separate. And so he was like, well, it's the big picture of everything coming together. And I think it was just kind of one of those old God wink things that was morphing itself. I had no clue that, that would end up making the perfect name to go with this. And just the way that the logo and everything kind of morphed itself. Aubrey Prutney she's a local artist, and she made my logo about 2019. I think I went to her 2020. Made that, and it was just perfect the way that it fit and all came together with the big umbrella with it. And it was just a lesson in, sometimes you think your path is this way as a business, and really God's calling you to do something this way, and you have to shut yourself up and follow with it, and it's really been a blessing with following that.
I love that. I wish we could make a book or something of how everyone pivoted during COVID.
Man.
Just, I love the stories.
So many great things came out of COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I had a favorite part of COVID, it's that. It's so many people pivoted creatively.
Well, like you.
Yeah.
You completely pivoted.
We did. Yeah, we pivoted a ton. This podcast was kind of a pivot, honestly.
Yeah.
I
still remember the day you came in and you were like, I think you should do a podcast. I'm like, what's that?
What is a podcast? Let's do it.
What's a podcast?
Right. Yeah. I think it was one of those things that in the waiting, things are happening.
Yeah.
And you don't know that things are happening.
Yeah.
There's been many times in my life, just like every human, I think you're like, come on, like what's coming, or why isn't this working out? I have my plan.
Yeah.
And I have time and time again, my plan has been proven wrong by God's plan, and I've been so excited when in the end. But in the midst of it, you're like, what the heck is going on here? Like, that's not what I wanted to do.
I think it's human nature not to get still.
Yes.
We don't like to be still.
Yeah.
We don't like to sit and to listen, because I'm going, did you just say something?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or was that my head?
It's
that's
hard to
listening,
listen when you're not being still, too. Like, there's a lot to that.
Yeah. And so I think that taught me patience, which I have none, to work on that. And I think a lot of creatives are that way in general. And to meet people where they are, that's been huge for me. And to meet myself where I am, and really nurture wherever you're at as a business, as a person. If you have, people, a lot of times people say, what kind of camera do you use, or whatever. The biggest lesson I've ever learned is, if you have a flip phone, from 82, you learn everything about that flip phone and be the best in whatever you have. So when I started with my one booth, I had that custom built, but I still had to learn so many things. Yeah. And I'm still constantly learning and researching, and you just have to. And I think that COVID was a good time for me to sit down and be still. Otherwise, I had already booked out a year from just getting it, and I would have been so fast that I would have missed so many things that I had time to actually research that I wouldn't have before, because I would have put it on the back burner. I'll get to that. Right. Then this allowed me to tweak my software, switch software to add elements and really like my video diaries and all those kind of things with it that I wouldn't have had time or energy to put into it if COVID wouldn't have happened. So that was definitely a blessing with it.
Yeah.
So what's new for 24?
We're working on our 5th booth right now. All of my booths are custom built. So basically the shell of it, so like the part you see, the box part, I get those custom built according to kind of what I feel would work in our area. So when I first started, if y'all saw my OG booth, which we still had it, we were in like a shabby chic era around here, and so I made it very rustic looking, and it had real graphics wrapped it, so it was like a wooden one.
Well, girl, the other night
Yeah.
it was sparkled out.
We do customize them, so we can do like temporary wraps. And so what she's talking about is we discoed it out. I think I had lost my mind.
It was pretty.
I love it.
But it took me 3.5 days to do that.
Well, it was pretty.
Yeah, it's very pretty for the Daddy Daughter Disco that's coming up.
Fun.
And so we thought I had the Quince Expo and the Daddy Daughter Disco.
Awesome.
So we literally got disco pieces, which are real glass and will cut you, we learned. And I would sit there one by one because you couldn't wrap it. All the angles
so
were
you put
flat.
like a mosaic of glass on there.
And
like
you
disco.
had to like piece by piece, and it's just a temporary one
very
with it.
bedazzled.
So yes, very, very bling. So we have our new booth. We're adding more backdrops. We want to get more out into the community. Once a month I try it's a mission always to give back to the community, and once a month I do something, and I want to make that so that I can do it at least 3 times a month.
Wow.
So we've really worked on that prayerfully with my budget and everything to do that, and as of last year we increased by 32%, which
That's
is
fantastic.
huge.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the numbers, I was like, okay, God's calling me to do something on this, and so
Like
it's scary as a small business, because I think I guess people will come and ask you for donations and to put forth and stuff, and you want to, or I want to give back, but I can't.
Right.
Financially you can't, or you won't have a business. And so I hate that, but I always say, if I can't give back, what can I give you some kind of discount, or can we? I learned from Chris Flanagan, who owns Real Graphics, taught me many years ago, like probably 20 years ago, of meeting people where they were, and if I can't give back, what can I do for you? Where can I meet you, and what do I have to offer? And through doing that, I've been able to, I think in 2024 we'll be able to give back more to the community, because it always comes back tenfold in
sure.
It does.
with it. And investing in people, investing in your community has always came back. And I mean, it just makes my heart smile too to do it, and to see people who said, we never thought we could have this at our event. Our community talks are like Chucks and Pearls. We did that not too long ago. And so that was like a community girls luncheon. They do it once a year. And Tomei does luncheon, and it's young girls come in and they have a speaker, and basically you just tell them like, these are all the options. Just because you come from a particular lifestyle or background doesn't mean that's where you've landed and that's your inroad. And so we got to do that. We do tons of things for local churches. We get to give back, even if not with a photo booth. We get to go and help with like food drives and those kind of things. So I definitely want to increase in that. And then I'm working on new software, and I think that's.
Man, you're blowing and going.
That's 2024. With it, we opened our selfie studio. So this is our first year, full year. We've just went into that. So that's been a great addition to it, and fun creative outlet for us. So we have, I've always, since I was little, wanted a studio downtown. And so that worked itself out. So that's been really cool. And it's a new demographic for us. And so that's a lot of fun. And we love promoting inclusivity and people being heard and listen to creative outlet. We have some awesome creative people in this town. So I love having a hub for that. Yeah. And it shows people also what we can do with our backdrops and stuff. Like if they see a selfie station that we've set up, then when they're like, oh, you can do that for our party. And so we can customize that for their photo booth. So that's been a lot of fun. So just, wheels spinning and keep on giving back and having fun and learning.
Well,
And
we just appreciate you so much. And it's been so fun to watch you grow this past year, and we cannot wait to see where 24 takes you and
Thanks.
beyond. And we appreciate all that you do for us. Like I said earlier, you're one of our biggest champions, one of our biggest cheerleaders. If Barbara's there, she's going to shout it from the rooftops. And
Yeah.
we really
Big Mouth is coming in clutch now, huh?
we appreciate you very much, and we look
Thank
forward
you.
to working with you. Barbara's partnering with us with the women's networking, breakfast and lunches, so she will be at all of those, and that's a whole new demographic for you to be
Yes,
able
yes.
to reach. So we look forward to all of that. But thanks for what you do for us.
Yeah.
Sincerely, thank you.
Thanks for backing me. I love
Yeah,
it.
Awesome.
I love when people help people.
absolutely.
That's great. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. We appreciate you joining us. And where can people find you if they want to rent a booth, if they want to come to the selfie studio?
All the things.
all the
Okay,
things.
so if basically you can go to our website at www.tbpeventslufkin.com. That's a good base for us, and it will lead you to all of our other places. We're on all the socials. Our selfie studio does have a separate set of things, but there's a link on our webpage that can get you to that. So just start our website, look up the big picture on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and that's it.
Awesome.
Find us.
Well, go check them out. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast again this week. We truly appreciate your support. If you want to catch the video version of this podcast, it's available on the Chamber Facebook and on the Chamber YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.